All right, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live broadcast on Born to Beach channel. If you're watching on YouTube, just send in your comments, words of appreciation, words of challenge, encouragement, and whatever you may choose to send across. But thank you once more for agreeing to come online and to be a part and parcel of today's leadership training session. Today we're going to be looking at a very important topic, something that, well, many of us do not truly, maybe do not pay so much attention to, but is important in our lives. And a number of us are either too scared about this issue, or we tend to pretend that this does not exist or this does not come as a challenge for us. But whether you like it or not, and regardless of how successful you are, you would have encountered one form of failure or the other. Now, many years ago, I had the privilege of being in a secondary school, and I've shared this story over and over again, but I think it's worth sharing because of today's lesson, so that we all can draw something from it. So, many years ago, I had the privilege of going through secondary school at the age of 10 years, and then, so by 15, I should have left secondary school and gone to the university, as it were. But that wasn't the situation. It didn't happen in that regard. Now, what was the reason? The reason was that when I had written my first WAEC, I failed and failed woefully that there was no way I could contemplate going to a higher institution. There was just no way that was going to happen. So that's the situation now. But this is many years have passed, all right? This is 25 years now or more, and no, just about 25 years that I've been called to the Nigerian bar. Okay, now what does that mean, or what does that say, or what should that say to us? It just simply points out to us that every failure can be built upon, all right, to improve your life. Okay, but it also just tells us that every one of us is liable to fail at something. Every one of us is liable to fail at something. So today we're going to be talking about failure and why people fail. All right? Failure and why people fail. That's just what I want us to take a look at. And you know, there are certain people who have failed over and over again and do not know the reason for their failure. Okay? So today I want to make an effort to ensure that I say a few things about why people fail. Have you experienced failure in certain areas of life? Have you encountered defeat at certain things? This is the opportunity for you to know or make a critical check on your life to find out if the reasons for your failure are usually are from you. Okay? Now, one reality about life is that when you fail, all right, there are a number of factors that can be traced back to how you handled what issue or what matter you failed in. All right. So that's one thing that you need to check. So we're going to do that today, and we're going to find out the reason why people fail. You may be a husband, a wife, you may be an entrepreneur, you may be a teacher, you may be a counselor, just about anybody, and are experiencing failure. Now, today, we're going to try to raise some issues to find out why you fail, or why people constantly and consistently fail in the things that they do. So, thank you for joining me. I see a number of you online already with me. Thank you for joining me at this hour. And we'll just take a look at those areas of failure. Now, but before then, permit me to do a few announcements. On the 1st of February 2021, on the 1st of February 2021, Born to Lead is going to commence an academy, and the essence of the academy is to be able to train you from start to finish. Well, at least not from start to finish, from start to a particular point where you can confidently call yourself a trained leader. Okay, we're going to begin with a 1 week online training, 2 hours per day. We're going to use various methods and models to challenge ourselves. We're going to give assignments whereby daily assignments whereby you go with, you take the challenge to find out if you're improving yourself. And if you're improving yourself, you can tell by those tests and challenges and those assignments. Okay. Now, at the end of the course, at the end of the training, you get a certificate for that training and that course. We had actually intended that it be a 1 month course, but we do not want to start by putting too much pressure on people. We just want to get you acclimatized with the issues beforehand, so that when you begin to practice what you have learned, then over time you can improve even to a master class or whatever. So those are the plan for 2021. Okay, as part of the plan for that academy, we're going to take a number of things on the curriculum. One is we're going to teach people how to understand leadership. There are a number of people who occupy offices, occupy high exalted positions, and just simply go around assuming that they are leaders, but in reality, they are not. Okay, so we're going to try to help you understand leadership and understand the various formats, understand the qualities of leaders and or good leaders, and so on and so forth. You know, if you ask people today, they will tell you that Hitler was a leader. But from my own study and from the study of members of BTL, we've come to realize that Hitler was not a leader. All right, he was anything other than a leader. And we're going to explain and try to break it so you understand why. As part of the curriculum, we're going to help you develop your leadership style. We're going to help you know and live by purpose. Now, a number of us struggle to even know the reason for our living. Okay, and we're convinced at BTL that every one of us was created with a purpose. Every one of us. So whether you believe the creation story or not, as far as you are existing, the truth about life is that every one of us exists with a purpose. Now, unless and until you know what that purpose is, unless you understand what your purpose is, the tendency is for you to get lost in the crowd. The reason why many people want to copy other people is because they have not found their own reason for living. So they think that by emulating other people, by copying other people's lives, that they can be fulfilled. The truth is, unless you know your purpose, until you identify what your purpose is, you can never be satisfied in life. And no matter how long you live. All right, so we're going to talk so much on purpose. We're going to teach about the philosophies of leadership. There are different philosophies of leadership. All right, there's the servant leadership, there's the transformational leadership, there is the transactional leadership, and so on and so forth. We're going to talk about all this in the academy. To come at a very minimal cost, an affordable cost. I can assure you of that. By the end of this month, we'll begin to post out how you can register for that course and how you can be a part and parcel of the course, as it were. And my challenge is, if you are alive, that you take up the challenge to enhance your leadership skills and abilities. I recognize that not many of us even know that we are leaders, but through this course, you would know that every human has the capacity to be a good leader. Every human has the capacity to to really lead. So that's the course on the 1st of February. It will commence, all right, and the method of registration will be made known and available to you. The second announcement is to the fact that we have a Zoom training coming up on Sunday, this Sunday. It's a free Zoom training, tag Leadership 101. All right, on Sunday, 27th of December 2020 at 8 p.m. West African time. At 8 p.m. West African time. Now, you can see the details on the screen, the meeting ID, the passcode. All right, and I would suppose that you would want to be a part and parcel of that leadership training. It started last Sunday, and we had a number of people who joined in. In fact, someone joined in just at the last minute, and from just comments, he said he had gained a bit. Okay, and I wish he had started from the onset. But this is a challenge. Be a part and parcel of that free Zoom training on Sunday. You would gain a whole lot. Okay, you will gain a whole lot just by attending that that leadership course or leadership training. It's a free Zoom training. All that is required of you is to have data on your laptop or your mobile phone and be available at 8 p.m. and you can gain a whole lot from that training. Now, having made these announcements, let me take us back to today's course and the reason for the lessons that we'll be looking at this hour. Now, there are several reasons and several ways in which failure occurs. All right, several reasons and several ways, in which failure occurs. Now, I would have listed out a number of them. There are there are over 15, but I'll just speak about a few today. And I will challenge you, if you want to go in depth into this, all right, if you want to know details about this, then you would register for the course, the Leadership Academy, or that would commence on the 1st of February. Time will not permit me to elaborate and discuss every one of the issues here. So, on the 1st of February, if you're a part and parcel of that course on the 1st of February, we will also teach about failure and why people fail. But on your screen at this hour, you will see the reasons, several reasons why people fail. One is excuses. Number two, fear of failure, fear of success. Incidentally, I discussed this somewhere, and someone was saying, how can the fear of success make you fail? And I said, well, it's a huge factor that has caused a number of people to fail because they fear success. They fear that if they are given success, they will not be able to handle it. Therefore, they fail. All right. A number of us blame the circumstances and conditions around us, distractions, lack of self-confidence. A number of us give up too quickly. We fail to learn, and as long as you do not learn, so long will you continue to fail. Inability to adapt to change is also one reason, all right, why people fail. The other reason is that people never try anything. People refuse to try things, okay, for several reasons, of course. Some based on fear, some just on laziness, some on some lackadaisical attitude, and so on and so forth. That's the reason why people fail. Okay, some underestimate the quantum of work before them. All right, others is because of laziness, others lack of self-discipline. A huge one is lack of planning. Okay, a popular saying goes that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We need to take that seriously. Then, if you want too much too quickly, okay, we're in the rush generation, so to speak, a generation where everything has to be fast, quick, fast, fast food, fast money, fast fuel, fast holiday, and so on and so forth. These are factors that bring about crash. A number of us cannot wait for a thing for 15, 20 years. Even as I speak it, I hear some people shorter already. They're already shaking and thinking, how can I wait for a thing for that long? But you see, most of the people who succeeded in life waited for a very long time for certain things to happen. All right? Your resistance to advice, I know it all. If that is your situation, you will constantly fail. And then failure to measure progress. All right? Your failure to measure progress. Now, any of these factors can lead to a massive or huge failure. But if you reverse them, okay, if you reverse them, you will stand tall and stand proudly. You continue to excel and to succeed. Have you found out that a number of people there are a number of people who it just seems that they never fail at anything? The reason is because they have applied a lot of these principles. Okay? They are applying a lot of these principles to their daily living, and therefore failure distance itself from them. Even when they fail, it does not become very obvious because quickly they learn from their failures. Quickly they learn from their failures. Now let's try to go in details regarding some of the factors that cause a failure. So I'm beginning with excuses. All right, I'm beginning with excuses. Now, excuses are explanations, justifications for failing or for refusing to start a project or a process. All right, and this can be exceptionally terrible. Exceptionally terrible. Terrible in the sense that if you continue to give excuses for not starting a thing or for not going far in anything you have started, so long will you continue to fail. All right? So long will you continue to fail. For some of us, our excuse is that we're too young. For others, our excuse is that we're too old. And in both categories, I can mention names of people who started too young or started too old and eventually succeeded. Okay? If you've ever gone to KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, to eat chicken, may I let you know that that business was started by a man who was in his late 60s. Okay? He had lived all his life as a poor person until that point. In fact, Kentucky Fried Chicken was started when Colonel Sanders contemplated suicide, and somehow he managed to convince himself to take one shot and ask himself, what do I know to do? And of course, he knew to fry chicken, and he fried it with a recipe that was unique to him. And at his death, all right, he sold that franchise for well over $20 million. That is in the late 60s. All right, you can imagine what that amount will be now. Okay, so at his old age, contemplating suicide, he started something new. Now, I think that should knock off all your excuses. I think that should move you away from the place of making excuses as to why you cannot start a project or as to why you cannot continue with the project as far as you should be looking at or pursuing the project. Now, Benjamin Franklin says this: he that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. Do I agree with this? I do agree. I do agree. Because every time that you make excuses, all right, you tell yourself that you lack the ability to rise up to do anything. Anytime that you make excuses, you discourage yourself from standing tall, from rising up to take up the challenge to do innovative things. Pele, the Brazilian soccer legend, living legend at that, started or won the World Cup at the age of 17 in 1958. He was 15 years old when he was called to the national team of Brazil. 15 years old. Today, in fact, by work policies and so on and so forth, we even stop young persons from taking up a business or a career. That can be frustrating. Of course, there are genuine reasons why we stop young people from taking up a career at that young age. But note that thankfully, because then there was no law to restrict 15-year-olds from taking up challenges, Pele at the age of 15 became a player of the national team of Brazil, and at the age of 17 won the World Cup. Elvis Presley was very popular at the age of 19. A musician that has died many years ago. In fact, there are people who still say that Elvis Presley is still alive. That's how popular he was. All right? That was how influential he was with his music. The truth is, he's passed on, but he started or he became famous at the age of 19. Now, you may say I've used young people to try to describe or encourage you through this situation. But do you know that Nelson Mandela became the president of South Africa at the age of 79? I hear people look down on people who are in their 70s. And I laugh. I laugh because if you have a grandfather who is at that age and you relate with him or her, or well, a grandfather, you relate with him at that stage, you will know that he is sane, that people at that age are sane. There are some who are very active. All right? The current president of the United States of America is over 70, and the president-elect is 78 years old. Still very active. So you may be beyond 50, 60, 70 and listening to me now. Do not ever consider yourself as being too old. You can never be too old to start something new. Ernestine Shepherd is a bodybuilder. She's approaching 80 and body builds. She trains people even at that age. So what is your excuse for not even starting your exercise? What is your excuse? All right? For not starting a business that you have contemplated since you were 10 or 15 years old. What is your excuse? Take note, like Benjamin Franklin states, he that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. Seldom good for anything else. All right? So the first reason why people fail is that they make excuses. The second reason is laziness. This also is exceptionally harmful. Okay? Exceptionally harmful. You will see the picture that I've just posted. All right? You and I are aware, you and I know that there is no fire service man that can put up fire just sitting on a chair, relaxing and using his tube or pipe, as it were, to put up fire. It's not a possibility. People are too lazy to start up things. Laziness is a dangerous trend. And incidentally, we all are now in a society where we even glorify laziness. We exalt lazy people. In this part of the world, when you hear young men talking about hammering, I want to hammer, you just know that a number of them do not thrive, do not pursue any form of business, do not seek to do any form of business to enhance themselves. They just want to be lucky. And excuse me, there is nowhere that lucky people have become so rich and it sustained them for some time. No. Go and find out. Even those who engage in lottery, all right? Those who engage in lottery, there are a number of people who have made so much money, but incidentally, they lost out in life because the money just simply disappeared. When you do not train yourself on financial matters, when you do not train yourself to be able to handle money, even if you win big at the lottery, what will happen to you, what will occur to you is that you lose nearly everything in a short season. So laziness is one reason why people fail. Laziness. All right? Now, Solomon David, the richest and perhaps the wisest man to have ever lived, says that a farmer who is too lazy to plant in the spring has nothing to harvest in the fall. And that's true. You know when farmers plant? Farmers plant at the most unpleasant times. Not in terms of weather or season, but in terms of availability of food. All right? In terms of availability of food, there are so many farmers who it is when food is dwindling, their supply is dwindling, that they go back to plant their seeds. Okay? It can be hurtful at that time. The tendency is for you to challenge yourself to eat up the crops, to survive first, as some people think. But the farmer knows that when it is time to plant, he or she must find crops to plant. And when they plant, they expect a harvest at return. But guess what? The lazy man will tell you, there is fire, there is lion out there. It is raining out there, therefore I cannot go out. Okay? It is tough out there. The government has not helped me. Therefore, I will lie down on the bed and continue to relax. Oh, I wish my father were a very wealthy person. I wouldn't have been going through situations like this. All right? These are all lazy people coming up with several excuses to refuse and to avoid going out to put their hands to the plow, going out to do things that will enhance and better their lives. So, one other reason why people fail is that there's so much laziness. All right? There's so much laziness amongst people, especially people of the younger generation. I started my first business at the age of 13, 14. And I didn't need any kobo, any penny to start that business. What did I do? I lived on a military base, on an Air Force base, recognized that there were young cadets who needed soft drinks, and some friends and I simply went to sell soft drinks to them. But the major difference being that A number of my friends were selling for their parents, but I was selling for myself. Now, it may surprise you to know that I didn't need any kobo or any penny to even start selling the drinks. I simply knew of a mother who was a supplier, okay? And every time they supplied, I simply went, the first crate, in fact, I went, took a few, took one crate from her of 24 bottles of soft drinks and pleaded with her that by evening or by the following day, I would pay her money in full. Now, because I was trading on loan, I worked my heart out to be able to do this. I worked my heart out to be able to sell, and I sold everything within the first 24 hours. Of course, I outran everybody. I listened and paid more attention to everybody, and in the process, I sold all my soft drinks. Okay, brought back the money to her, pleaded for another crate the next day, did the same thing. I continued to do this until I could pay for 3, 4 crates by myself. Okay, that's how I started business at the tender age of 13, 14 years. I didn't see laziness as a lifestyle. No, it was never going to be a lifestyle for me. And so I pursued business. Okay? Right now, there are several businesses I dip my hands into. In fact, this year I farmed over a hectare of rice. I farmed over a hectare of yam. I've gotten thieves on both farms, okay? But I am determined that next year I would continue to farm. I do not want to be a lazy person. So laziness is one reason why a number of us fail. And like Solomon David says, okay, that a lazy man who does not plant in the spring has nothing to harvest in the fall. People fail because of laziness. Okay? The next is the fact that people fail because of fear. People fail because of fear. Now, it will interest you to note, like I stated earlier on, that it is not just fear of failure, but it also includes fear of success. Fear of success. And perhaps I should dwell more on fear of success even at this moment. Now, there was a time in the office where I had a discussion with a younger friend, and I asked if he had ₦1 billion that day, how was he going to spend the ₦1 billion? And he said, no. He wasn't contemplating, he never ever contemplated holding ₦1 billion. And I laughed at him. And I said, but if it comes to you now, what would you do with it? He was somewhat scared from the onset, but eventually he took up the challenge and he told me he could spend ₦1 billion in less than 24 hours and so on and so forth. And I said, okay, so take 24 hours, go home, do your planning. All right? Come back and tell me how you would spend ₦1 billion. Okay? Tell me how you spend ₦1 billion in 24 hours. And guess what? By the following day, from his report, having spent and gifted out some of the monies, he had more than 300 million naira still left with him to spend. Why? Because he had never contemplated spending ₦1 billion. But today, as I speak with you, if you gave him ₦1 billion, he already has it figured out. And you know why? Because he's overcome the fear of success, he's overcome also the fear of failure. Now, there are a number of us who are still afraid of venturing so that we do not succeed and then success overshadows us or success swallows us. There are a number of us who are still contemplating, or the reason why we're still failing and are still being hooked where we are is that we are so afraid of even succeeding that we will not contemplate starting a project, will not contemplate going into anything. Again, I had a friend. Well, no, I still have the friend, okay, whom every time you talk about marriage with him, he just withdraws. He withdraws because he tells you, oh, he's seen other marriages and a number of them haven't worked out well, and so on and so forth. Therefore, he's biding his time. All right? And every time we hold that discussion, I try to point him to other marriages that have succeeded. In fact, just about 2, 3 days ago, I spoke with another lady for over 30 minutes, nearly an hour, because she told me she's an amputee, all right, and of course had that challenge, but she works and does everything perfectly well, okay. But when I asked her regarding marriage, she told me when she was young, a very young teenager, maybe 13 years or thereabout, she had watched a drama, and from that drama, she had made up her mind she would not get married. And I was amazed because in the drama, all right, someone who was handicapped or was challenged was portrayed to be somebody's wife, and the person didn't like it, or was portrayed to be the only person, the only option available for the person to marry, and that person didn't like it. And she thought, wow, being an amputee, anybody I go to will not like me, will not want to associate with me. Therefore, it will be a huge challenge for me. And from that time, she had made up her mind never to want to marry. And I said that was a wrong perspective of life. Well, we started talking about it to help her overcome her fear. Okay? That was fear of failure. Okay? But there are others whose fear is the fear of success. They are afraid that if they succeed, they will not be able to handle their success. And I just laugh at such people because it's a wrong way to approach life. Okay? Very wrong way to approach life. So, my challenge to you is that overcome your fears. All right? Overcome your fears. Because in overcoming your fears, you will succeed. You will stop to fail. Okay? Just ensure that failure is not a part and parcel of your own life. Overcome your fears. All right? Now, I think that, well, not for want of time, I just think that for some reasons, I may have to draw the curtain at this point of fear. But let me just state, all right? Do not be afraid of failure. Do not be afraid of success. Rise up and start. Okay? Nelson Mandela says this: the brave man is not he who does not fear or does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Every one of us has some level of fear. Have you ever gone on a bungee jump? Okay? No matter how confident or bold you are, you will first be afraid. But if you do that jump, okay, it will take you courage to overcome that fear. And if you do that jump, you will discover that your life never remains the same. All right? So Nelson Mandela says that the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And Nelson Mandela conquered his fear. He took up a fight against the then white minority rule in South Africa. He was incarcerated in prison for 27 years. Several deals were suggested to him for him to regain freedom. He turned them all out. Eventually, he was set free. Eventually, he became the president of South Africa. And even till death, okay, to the point of death, he was more popular than whoever was on the throne in South Africa. Why? Because he overcame his fear. Dale Carnegie says this, okay? Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit at home and think about it. Go out and get busy. That's the truth about life. Go out and get busy. That's the way to overcome fear. That's the way to conquer and overcome fear. All right? You cannot sit at home and contemplate. All right? You cannot sit at home and contemplate overcoming fear. You must rise up. You must take up the challenge to go out and do things. Okay? Now, like I said, we'll end today here at the point of fear. We'll end today at the point of fear. Okay. All right? We'll end at the point of fear. And I just do hope that you take time to contemplate the things I've discussed with us today, and probably you have questions to ask, and just feel free to raise them on my Facebook page or on the YouTube channel for Born to Lead, and we will discuss more on the issue of failure and how to overcome failure. All right. By the way, as I round up, and thank you for joining me, the music at the background is a work or a piece played by the Praise Family Band of Ekwawuse 2 in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, Abuja. Okay, I just loved the piece, and I thought to pick the piece and to play the piece out as the background sound for this music. Now, if you like that piece, I would also encourage you to probably get in touch with me or get in touch with the Praise Family Band, and I'm sure that you can have them at several places to play for you, as it were. All right, so thank you so much. It's been a blessed and wonderful time with you today. And once again, do not forget, on the 1st of February 2021, Born to Lead will commence a leadership academy. The process for registration will be made available pretty soon for everyone to get to see and to grasp. All right. So thank you so much, and do have a blessed and prosperous afternoon and a blessed and prosperous week. Okay. And then happy Christmas in advance. And by the way, that reminds me, on Christmas Day, I'll do a special broadcast. All right. I'll do a special broadcast, and I'll encourage you to be a part and parcel of that broadcast, because at that point, there are certain lessons, leadership lessons that we can learn as to the celebration of Christmas. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your faith and belief is. I'm so sure that you can learn greatly from that lesson. So thank you so much, and have a good day ahead of you. Cheers.